right now, a lot of people are concerned with what's going on. Yesterday, the market had another, 2.5%, 3% correction, give or take, whatever the number was. Here's JP Morgan Chase, details exactly how they think Trump's trade war will play out and what investors should do. Okay, so let's see what the story from Insider is saying in regards to Chase's predictions with Trump's tariffs. Okay. So JP Morgan Chase predicts Trump's tariffs will lead to some deals with trade partners with the effective tax rate rising to 10 to 20% compared to 2% earlier this year. The firm noted this represents a meaningful increase in imports duties, but lands within Wall Street estimates pre-Liberation Day, expecting economic growth to slow, unemployment and inflation to rise, but the U.S. to avoid a full recession. The bank recommends structured notes for investors, stating they can simultaneously provide defensive exposure to stocks while delivering income through options premiums. Upside, offering a strategy to navigate the tariff included market uncertainty. JP Morgan Chase advises incorporating hedge funds into diversified portfolios, noting that volatility will allow hedge funds to exploit market mispricings and relative value play across asset classes. Tom.
Well, Business Insider is covering JP Morgan, and JP Morgan had a big letter that came out a week and a half ago. And one of the things that people noted in there is they seem to be having or trying to have a calming effect on investors. Like they're saying, hey, we think the tax rate will be 10 to 20% of some of these tariffs compared to 2%, which is what we estimated pre-Liberation Day. So what they're trying to say, Vinny, is, hey, what we said before Liberation Day when the market started going crazy, and that was April 2nd, hey, it's happening. It's happening about that way. So they're trying to have a calming effect. And then what they're mentioning to people is, structured notes. And I won't go into deep detail. Adam could probably talk about it too. But a structured note is basically an investment vehicle that allows you a little bit of downside protection and a little bit of upside protection, and you get a little coupon in there. So what they're saying is there are other investment products that are designed for times when the markets and the financial instruments are volatile. And I felt like, Pat, that what Business Insider was covering, but they missed the headline. I think they blew the headline. It would be JP Morgan recommends calm and consider alternative investments as the tariff situation, trade war plays out. And we think it's going to land 10 to 20% tax on certain goods, which is what we said before Liberation Day. And I think they missed the headline because I think that's what JP Morgan is. That's exactly what they're saying here. And oh, by the way, call JP Morgan because we can help you buy some of these things. Operators are standing by.
Adam.
I guess, for those of us that support Trump, many of us in this room, including myself who voted for Trump, at what point are we going to sound the alarm and say, I don't know, is this actually working out? I think we all understand the need for tariffs. I think we all understand the need for taking on China. I think we all understand the need for not kicking the can down the road. But at the same time, when are we going to say, is this actually working? I think it's totally fair to ask questions. This is Tom and I were talking about this earlier. The number one story in the Wall Street Journal was the following. The Dow is now headed for the worst April in 100 years as investors send a no confidence signal to the market. Now, we all said brace for impact. We kind of have to have a short term, take a couple steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. But the market is getting a little fearful. As Warren Buffett always says, be fearful when people are greedy, be greedy when people are fearful. I'm still investing in the market, and I'll always bet on America. But if you go to the Fear-Greed Index, which we tend to take a look at on this show, right now, people are in extreme fear. So, I don't want to be, this is not a joke, but on Liberation Day, April 2nd, the only thing that's been liberated so far is trillions of dollars of wealth from the U.S. stock market. And I don't want that, nor does anybody want that. But since then, since there's potentially the worst April in almost 100 years, the Dow is down, the stocks are down, the S&P is down, the dollar is down, U.S. treasuries and bonds are down, consumer sentiment is down, gold is up because that's obviously a store of value, the VIX is up because that's volatility index, and the fear and greed index is very fearful. So at what point do we say, look, Trump, we're rooting for you, bro. But hopefully this thing turns around very quickly.
Is 3 months too, or like, and I get it, Adam, trust me, I'm with you 100%, but isn't this something that we have to go through as a nation because of how horrible everything, what are they, $37 trillion in debt?
Yeah.
Nobody respects
well,
the
Trump. I'm going to answer this
go
and then
ahead.
I'm going to let you do
go
your
ahead.
thing. The debt is obviously one thing, but the tariffs are a totally other thing. I understand, what Doge is doing, but if Trump, who is very mindful of his legacy and how things are talked about in the news, even if he doesn't trust the mainstream media, this is the lowest S&P has ever been since inauguration for any president in 100 years. So this is not a good look for Trump. We're all rooting for this to turn around.
Yeah.
But my simple question is, at what point do we sound the alarm bells and say, I don't know?
Let me tell you what I did yesterday.
Sure.
So for me, yesterday, I looked into a couple things. I went and looked into, and it's so funny you were saying that. You were kind of headed in that direction. Rob, can you go pull up the following? What are the longest any trade deals took? Go on ChatGPT and ask the question, what is the longest any trade deal took? Okay, if you pull it up, here's what you'll notice. I wanted to find out what's the longest. Okay, the longest trade deals ever. Doha Development Round, WTO, 23 years.
Jeez.
It's still going. EU, Mercosur Agreement, that's EU, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, 1999 to 2019, okay? And it's still not ratified, okay? Then you got Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, 13 years. WTO General Agreement on Trade and Services, 10 years. Canada, EU, 8 years. And then I want to put the fastest, and here's what I found with the fastest. U.S.-Jordan FTA, 4 months. This is in 2000. U.S.-Australia FTA, a trade agreement, fastest trade deals, 1 year. USMCA, 1.5 years. That's U.S., Mexico, Canada, 2017 to 2018. U.S., Singapore, 2 years. So even the fourth fastest was 2 years. Okay? By the way, people who are watching this, they're shaking right now. You understand what I'm saying? They're kind of like, what are you talking about? Yeah. It's going to take
2 years
this long to go through this. That's what you think is going to take place? Well, if this is truly something that's a dramatic change that we're going to be making, this is something we have to go through. So now, I then looked up to see what companies were taking a hit, okay? And there's two different types of deals. Bilateral trade deals, 2 countries, it takes 1 to 5 years. Multilateral trade deals, 3 countries plus, takes 5 to 10 years, okay? But in the China trade deal, there are a lot of companies right now in China that are taking a hit because to them, they're just shutting down. They're telling employees, go home, we have no work for you. And this is real. That's happening, okay? Mm-hmm. And some parts of America as well, some places are shutting down saying, we don't have work for you. We can't afford to have work for you. So the pain is there as we're going through it, right? You're hearing some small business owners talk about, I financed my, my mortgage, I've taken money out of my mortgage to be able to do this and all the stuff that they're talking about. So the pain is definitely there. I had no idea what was going to happen with the Yetis. I had no idea. When our team said, Pat, they're not going to last, like this, all of it was gone. Next thing you know, we were swamped by messages of, Pat, can we get additional Yetis to do collaboration with Valuetainment and Future Looks Bright? The next one is here. Now, keep in mind, these will go very fast. Rob, if you want to play this clip, we got different ones. These are based on what many of you guys asked. This is the Future Looks Bright Yeti, whether it's a pink one, whether it's the red one, whether it's the Tiffany blue or the white. These seems to be, this one seems to be, it's sick. It's absolutely sick. Yeah, or even a smaller one that you got. And on top of this, Rob, if you can also go to the website, there are, I think it's 10 coolers that we got. A couple people asked for
only
coolers.
10?
I just got 10 of them. We're like, let's just see if there's a market for it.
I guarantee you that they'll be gone before we're done with the episode.
I said, let's get 10
Those
and let's see how it does.
Sick.
Look at that. Look how sick that is with Future Looks Bright right on top of it.
So badass.
So vtmerch.com, go place your order. Be the first to get it because these things will go very quickly. Again, it is limited supply and they're absolutely sick. When you go to work and you have this Valuetainment logo and the Future Looks Bright, it looks insane. Okay, again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order with the Yeti collaboration. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.